Alright, so now we're going to be using some audio clips in our scene. So we need to download a few audio clips. I downloaded some off the Asset Store, so you can find them here. They're called the Ambient Sample Pack. It's published by Electrodynamics, and it's free. So go ahead and use those and download them in your project files. Alright, so let's take a look at the Rain Loop 1. In our inspector panel, we can see the audio format, 3D sound, the load type, and the compression. So let's go ahead and play it out. All right, there we go. So this is a good audio clip to use. And we're going to be attaching it to our terrain. Now, for your audio, you need to have an audio listener and an audio source. So on our main camera of our first-person controller, we can see that we have an audio listener attached by default. If you have another camera in your scene, you need to make sure that the audio listener is checked off. So we have an audio listener. Now let's go ahead and create an audio source. So click on our terrain, then go to Component, Audio, Audio Source. All right, once you do that, you should see Audio Clip section right here under Audio Source. Go ahead and open that up and go ahead and select Rain Loop 1. Now it says this is a 3D sound. For this audio clip, we want to make sure it's a 2D sound. Let's go back to our Rain Loop 1 and uncheck 3D sound. Click Apply. Now go back to your terrain, and now it says this is a 2D sound. Go ahead and select Loop, and now we can go ahead and play it. Alright, now the reason why we use a 2D sound is because it'll work well for creating any type of ambient noise where you want a clip to sound the same no matter where you're at. So for this case, if we have an audio clip for our entire terrain, you want to make sure that it sounds the same no matter where you're at in the terrain. With the 3D sound effect, it'll actually change depending on where you're located from the sound effect. Alright, and as you can tell, the sound clip is actually attached to the very edge right here, the very edge of our terrain. So now let's go ahead and take a look at 3D sound clips. Go ahead and uncheck your audio source for your terrain and focus in on your first-person controller. Alright, so let's go ahead and create an empty game object. Go to Game Object, Create Empty, and rename it Sound Clip. Now let's go ahead and add an audio component. Make it an audio source. And we're going to go ahead and select an audio clip. Go ahead and select Rain Loop 2. And it says this is a 3D sound, which is what we want. Go ahead and select Loop. And let's go ahead and test it out. Alright, so as you can see, once we start getting closer to this audio clip, it gets louder, but as we start walking away, it starts to decrease in volume. So that's how a 3D sound clip works. Let's take a look at the settings. So we have the Doppler level. We're not going to worry about that one. We're going to take a look at the volume roll-off. Right now it's set to logarithmic, and you can see by this curve right here, that's a logarithmic roll-off. If we set it to linear, it starts off loud and it gets basically to nothing. And custom roll-off, you can adjust it the way you want. So we're going to go ahead and select linear roll-off. Now the minimum distance is this little cube right, or this little globe right here. If we increase this to say 5, you can see that makes it a little bit larger. Now anything within this globe will actually have the sound effect playing at its loudest. So if we walk into this little globe, we should hear the sound effect at its loudest. Now if we zoom out, we can see the other globe. That is our maximum, which is our max distance right here. Let's go ahead and change this to 100. Now this max distance refers to the attenuation of our sound clip. So this is where it starts to attenuate. Anything past this level basically keeps the same sound effect level the whole time. And the spread actually determines our 3 type of sound effect. So basically this is for our speakers. So we set this up higher. You'll be able to tell that once you get closer and closer to the sound effect, the speakers will determine which way you're facing. So if you're facing to the right, you should be able to hear the sound effect more through your right speaker than your left, and vice versa. So let's go ahead and try it out now. All right, so as you can see, as we're getting further and further away, it starts to go, this listener basically gets further and further away from the sound clip, and it gets lower and lower in volume. Now, if you're taking a look at the curve over here as we were playing, you can see that the listener actually refers to the audio listener attached to our controller over here. So let's go ahead and hit play again. Take a look at the curve over here. All right, and there we go. Right now we're at the maximum distance away from the sound clip. That's why we don't hear anything. Let's go ahead and hit play. So that's our max distance and our spread at work there. All right, so that is the basics of using a 3D sound clip. So by now you should have a good understanding of how to use audio clips in your scene here. 3D sound clips allow us to create a more realistic type of sound effect, whereas 2D sound effects would be used for things like music or any type of ambient noise.